The world's largest cave is so big, it has its own weather system. There's a place on Earth where clouds form underground, where rivers run through pitch-black caverns the size of skyscrapers, where trees, actual trees, grow inside a cave because the opening in the ceiling lets in just enough light. And it's so massive that explorers who have gone inside have gotten lost, not for minutes, for days. This is Son Doong, the single largest cave passage on the planet, and today we're going inside. But before we do, I need to warn you, what you're about to learn is going to make every other impressive natural wonder feel kind of small. Here's what blows my mind. This cave wasn't discovered by a team of scientists with million-dollar equipment. It was found by a local farmer named Ho Con in 1991. He was sheltering from a storm in the jungle of Phong Nha Ke Bang National Park in central Vietnam when he noticed a strange wind blowing from a crack in a limestone cliff. He heard roaring water, he felt the temperature drop, and then he ran, because the entrance looked terrifying. A vertical drop into complete darkness with a sound like a waterfall echoing up from below. He told a few people about it. Nobody believed him. And for almost 2 decades, the cave sat there, undiscovered by science, while one of the most extraordinary places on Earth waited quietly underground. Then in 2009, Ho Con led a team from the British Cave Research Association back to the spot he remembered. And what they found inside rewrote the record books. The passage they entered was so large, their laser measuring equipment couldn't even reach the walls. Okay, let's actually try to understand how big this thing is, because the numbers are insane. Son Doong stretches roughly 9 kilometers long. Its main passage is up to 200 meters wide, and in some sections, up to 150 meters tall. That means you could fit a 40-story skyscraper inside the cave, with room to spare. You could fit an entire city block of New York City inside a single chamber. The cave is so large that when scientists mapped it, they discovered it would comfortably fit Boeing 747s flying wingtip to wingtip through its main passage. But here's where it gets really strange. Because of its sheer volume, the cave doesn't just sit there passively. It creates its own weather. The cave is so vast that it generates its own cloud system. Seriously, explorers have documented actual clouds forming inside. These clouds form near 2 massive ceiling collapses called dolines. Sunlight pours through and heats the air. Moisture condenses and clouds drift through the cavern like you're watching a time-lapse of the sky, except you're underground. Temperature inside the cave drops as low as 18 degrees, even when it's blazing hot outside. Winds blow consistently through the passage. In the wet season, an underground river surges through the cave floor, impassable, terrifying, and beautiful. And then there's what lives inside. Because those ceiling collapses, those dolines, let in enough sunlight to grow a jungle, an actual jungle, inside the cave. Scientists call it the Garden of Edam. There are 30-meter-tall trees down there. There are monkeys, there are flying foxes, massive bats with wingspans wider than your arm span, rare cave pearls, perfectly round formations created by dripping water over thousands of years, litter the floor like someone dropped a bag of marbles. Some stalagmites reach 80 meters tall. 80 meters. The tallest ones in the world are right here. The cave walls are covered in cave pearls, moon milk, and flowstone formations so pristine that scientists have compared walking through it to exploring an alien world. And here's the thing that really gets to me. Because the cave was sealed for so long, the ecosystem inside it evolved in relative isolation. There are species found only in this cave, invertebrates, cave-adapted insects. Things with no eyes because they've been in the dark for so long, they evolved past the need to see. This place has been sitting under a jungle in Vietnam, quietly running its own evolutionary experiment for millions of years. Now here's where this story gets complicated, because the world found out about Son Doong, and the world wants in. Only one company in the world is licensed to take tourists inside, Oxalis Adventure, and they only allow 1,000 visitors per year. The trip costs $3,000 minimum. You have to be physically fit. It's 4 days. You camp inside the cave. And yes, there's a waiting list. But here's the controversy that almost tore the cave apart. In 2014, a Vietnamese tourism company proposed building a cable car system directly into the cave to increase capacity, to bring more visitors, to make more money. Scientists, conservationists, and cavers from around the world lost their minds. Because the moment you bring mass tourism into an environment this fragile, you destroy exactly the thing that made it special. Human breath alone changes the CO2 composition of cave air. Foot traffic compresses sediment that took 10,000 years to form. Lights introduced for tourism cause algae blooms that coat and kill cave formations. After massive international pressure and protests, the cable car plan was shelved, for now, but the tension remains. Vietnam wants to develop the region economically. Conservationists want the cave locked away from everyone. And sitting in the middle of that debate is one of the most extraordinary places that has ever existed on this planet. I want to leave you with something a photographer said after spending a week inside Hang Son Doong. He said, "The strangest part wasn't the size. I expected the size. The strangest part was the silence. You'd be standing in a cavern the width of a city block, clouds drifting overhead, the sound of a river somewhere below you. And you'd think, no human being has ever stood here before. Maybe no human being should. This place was doing just fine without us." That's what makes Hang Son Doong different from every other natural wonder on this list. Niagara Falls, the Grand Canyon, the Great Barrier Reef, they've all been photographed, mapped, studied, monetized, and visited by millions. We've claimed them. We've made them ours. Hang Son Doong resisted that. For hundreds of thousands of years, it existed completely outside of human knowledge. Right now, you could enter a lottery and spend 4 days inside it, camping beside an underground river, waking up to clouds inside a cave ceiling. And there's a very real chance that no human will ever see that specific formation you're walking past again. There is a mountain inside this cave, an actual mountain, rising from the cave floor to 80 meters. Nobody named it for centuries because nobody knew it existed. That's what the planet is still capable of hiding from us. And that is extraordinary. So, remember at the start I said this would make every other natural wonder feel small. Tell me I was wrong in the comments. I dare you. Hang Son Doong has its own weather, its own jungle, its own ecosystem, its own mountains, its own clouds. And it sat under a Vietnamese jungle for millions of years with zero humans knowing it existed. One question before you go, and I genuinely want to know your answer. If you could visit Hang Son Doong tomorrow, knowing the impact even careful tourism has, would you go? Or would you leave it alone? Drop your answer below. I read every single comment on this one. If you want more places that will genuinely break your brain, the next video is right there. I'll see you in it.